Okay. Do. And I think we are live. Hey, everybody, you are watching and listening to the We Are Rising podcast. This is your host, Andrew Benjamin. Currently in parts unknown right now is my co-host, Jay Christian Gary from Focus Fights, but he'll be back shortly. But with us, we do have Charles Jewett from Sogo-Kaku, and let's talk JMMA with Shu Hirata. We'll be talking about the Rizin 31 show, that will be going down this weekend from the P Arena in Yokohama. Charles, thank you so much for talking to us about the show. I really appreciate it, as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always fun
Uh,
to come on and talk to you guys.
while we're waiting for Chris to come back, I know that you attended the two deep shows.
Yes,
In Tokyo. It was Tokyo Impact, right? This was at
yes.
was this
Round
at
one and round two.
Houston Coast or Shinkiba?
Shinjuku Face.
Oh,
Pancrase had an event at the same time at
uh,
Studio Coast.
yes, yes. I didn't see the Pancreas show. Unfortunately, the having formerly Nori dot day a date is not exactly a draw for me. As a,
No,
a
I'm all
main
about
event.
it.
I was actually more interested in the match with the I think he's Uzbekistan or Russian. The I forgot what his name is. That guy.
Okay.
He was supposed to be a Neo lightweight championship match, but it got
Well, I
canceled
didn't.
for some reason.
I didn't actually watch the event because you had to order it on pay-per-view in advance, and I don't have a Beamer Prime,
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I'm only aware of a couple of the fights that happened on it. Yeah.
How are the two deep shows? Well, actually, to be honest, that one deep show was entirely like a Mikuru Azakura book show. It seemed like because I think everybody was from Triforce from like his gym.
Well, that would make sense. I knew a couple of them were, but they had a lot of fans there, and I think he showed up, and people went nuts. But it was good. Um, it was a bunch of. I mean, Dave's been working really hard to develop a bunch of young fighters. So, I mean, like, I think, as I said, 20 of the 30 fighters of the day had less than 4 fights, and so they're just really trying to churn up the new generation and develop some talent. So it's fun. The last fight in the second round two ended in an absolutely brutal knockout. The guy got carried out in a stretcher.
Oh yes, I did see your live your write up for it, and I saw a photo as well. And he will you
Yeah.
know what it reminded me of. We'll be talking about him later. I haven't seen the video yet, but was it kind of like the Saint Sakai knockout?
It was one of those knockouts where like people thought the guy was like legitimately hurt because he knocked him out with a punch and he just like collapsed on himself, like just out cold, like just fell like a bag of meat. And the ref and his coach had to like straighten his body out as like the guy's walking around. You're like, oh, he might be dead. It's like one of those kinds of knockouts. So,
Was there
and
anybody who impressed you particularly from either show? Somebody that we
uh,
should be on the lookout for.
I mean, I'm always more focused towards the ladies, and Aya Murakami made it 4-0 and submitted the one-time Invicta FC title challenger Yasuko Tamada, who had never been submitted before in like a 16-year career.
I'm very upset that Tamada was finished. She's one of my whenever I see her, I'm like, oh come on, do it for the old people, do it for the old people.
You remember when she fought for Invicta and they didn't post her age? It was like so like it would have been like less obvious if they did post her age. It was like such a glaring omission from the statistic sheet.
Oh yeah, I know. Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah, yeah. Um, Also, apparent Ero Takabayashi got her. She suffered her first loss, I believe, as well, right?
Well, I mean,
Pro loss, at least.
yeah, the fight with Sakura missed weight, so it was a no contest. But she's a former one-time Rising veteran. She actually fought at like the pre-show fight. But she's a really good striker. She's super aggressive, but she has work to do on the ground. Because Sakura took her down and submitted her pretty quickly in the fight that was a no contest. And in this fight, the girl she fought, Moedi Suda, that's not who she fought. I'm sorry. She fought Ida Koga. She fought Ida Koga, who's this girl that came out of like a deep Osaka show, and this is only her second fight. And she was dressed like Iron Man, and
Mhm.
she just kind of was able to take her down, and it kind of threw her off her game. I mean, they'd get standing up again, and Edu would like land some really hard body kicks and low kicks, but when you throw a kick like that, you're just inviting the person to charge in and take you down, which is what happened.
I see that this was done at 108 pounds. So did Takabayashi make weight this time?
It wasn't her that missed weight. It was
Oh yes, it was Sakura. It was
Sakura that
Sakura
missed
who
weight.
missed weight. Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
But
Uh,
it's interesting. Neither one of the girls is from Tokyo. So it's kind of interesting to see that Deep's also developing girls outside of Tokyo.
mhm.
But she's always going to have a place in Deep because she's so aggressive and always going forward to strikes. She just needs to somehow find a way to hole up her takedown defense, which she's only like 18 years old, so give her some time. I think her opponent was also fairly young, and also on the card was Moeri Suda, who fought Ottawa, and she was like 17, and Ottawa's 18. So I mean, they're really digging up some young talent, and pretty fun.
The other thing I have to point out, Marina Kumagi, who somehow
Yes.
so apparently every she has lost almost I think almost all her fights except for one, and it was a second match against Reina.
King Reina, not
King Reina,
Moeri.
excuse me, King Reina, of course.
Um,
And which I
I don't
find
understand what's going on there. I think Deep is trying to develop female fighters, obviously, and she's in one of the bigger divisions. The problem is she's just a kickboxer, and they kind of like imported her and are trying to slap some MMA wheels on her. But the problem being that her opponent was just like, okay, as soon as she starts to strike, I'm going to take her down immediately. That's
of
what
course.
happened.
That's the age old. That's the age old trick of kickboxers. I
Yep.
don't know. I don't know any other trick
Well,
that's never not worked.
well, I get the feeling that the person that's kind of like Sayaki runs deep in Deep Jewels, but someone else kind of there's people that run Deep Jewels more behind the scenes than he does, and those people, I think that they're kind of I think they're close with Marina Kumagai. Like she like helps out at events and volunteers and like does the ticket booth and stuff like that. So I think they like her and they're trying to build her up. It's just going to take some time because she has no grappling skills at all.
Mm-hmm. Do you plan to go to any of the you said you're going to be going to Deep 104 this weekend, right?
I am. It's going to be awesome. So as I said, Deep Tokyo Impact, not one of their numbered events. It was kind of an event to churn out a bunch of fights and give these guys some ring time that are these new young fighters. Whereas Deep Impact is more like you have Kitaoka on the card, and you have Seika Izawa fighting Siwoo Park. Winner's probably going to go to Rising. So the Deep 104 card's much deeper, not no pun intended, much deeper than the Impact card. And I expect it to be like sold out pretty much. It's going to be at Kodokuin Hall, not Shinjuku Face. So it should be pretty fun.
I think I'm very happy to see that Shinryo's back. I don't know where he's been for the last I think it's 2 years, maybe a year. I don't know if he's injured or something, but I'm glad to see that he's back and defending the flyweight championship. I'm just disappointed
Yeah.
though that we're not getting another Juri Ohara Takeda rematch.
I saw him. I saw he was at the Deep Show over the weekend. I will point out that one of the interesting prospects on the card is Rei Tsuruya, and he's actually the son of the coach of Pairesta Dream, where Ogikubo and Kana Asakura train.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually like some rumors. I don't know if there's any weight to these rumors that he and Kana are dating, but who knows if that's true or not. But he's 2-0, and so far both of his wins have come by finish. And so kind of excited. Plus, I mean, he made his debut this year. So this will be his third fight this year. And if he keeps winning like this, I mean, he's got some teammates in Rising, so you probably can expect to see him over there if he keeps winning.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, he's only 19. But he looks like he's 12. I'm looking at a picture of him right now. He also I think he might have negative body fat because he doesn't look like he has any on him at all.
Yep. But I mean, it looks like a pretty good show to me. And trying to think, it's at the Kodokuin Hall, which is one of my favorite venues.
Oh, Hall is
Yeah.
the best venue. When it's a nice filled venue, it is, but when it's not filled, it looks almost embarrassing because I don't know
Oh,
why. I don't know why, but for all the promotions or wrestling promotions, MMA well, I don't think so much for MMA, but kickboxing though. But at least for the wrestling promotions, whenever it's not a full show, for some reason, it's always visible on hard camera. They don't tell people to move to the hard camera side. It's
Yeah.
it, and you'll just see like little like you see one person over there, one person on the west side or whatever north side, and then another on the other side of the north side. And I'm just like, why don't you just tell all the people that you can't see on the car camera side, put him on the other side? That's just what goes through my head.
Yeah. Yeah. And then let me think about the oh, this is kind of fun. So Shizuka Sugiyama opened up a gym recently with her husband Keitaro. And I can't hear you. Did your audio go out?
You talk about this on JMMA podcast. Tell us
Yeah.
what it was like training with Sugiyama.
It was a lot of fun, but I was just gonna say it's. I was just asking them some questions afterwards, and they were talking about how, I mean, Rising has really kind of created. It's nowhere. It's not going to be like it was during Pride, and you can't really compare it to that. So I'm not even going to try. But it has increased MMA's popularity in Japan, and they're seeing it in the gyms. There's more people going to the classes and these MMA events. I mean, Deep and Pancrase were holding their events at smaller venues, and now they're at bigger venues. It looks like they're selling out, and they got a lot of young talent coming up. So it's kind of an exciting time for Japanese MMA.
I mean, it was I know the reason why I saw this thing is because I saw like this was an opportunity for JMA to become bigger, and
Mhm.
I hope that that's what happens. Will this ever will Ryzen be as big as Pride? Probably not. That's probably like I don't
No,
know.
but do you
High,
want it? I mean, it's like it's such a thing that like Pride can only be judged by like, the time that it was in,
mhm.
and the world has changed so much. I mean, there's there's so many streaming services and internet services, and Pride kind of showed that, and Dream also showed that for an MMA promotion to succeed, they can't have one source of revenue.
Mhm.
They can't depend exclusively on Fuji TV.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, I mean, like the Ryzen landmark shows, which I'm pretty sure it's easier to find golden or to break into Fort Knox than to actually find footage of those fights. By the way,
I
like
watched them; they were awesome. It was a great show. It was a great event.
hey, listen,
Um,
I saw the results. I saw that Imanari won. I'm happy.
I was losing my shit when Imanari won. It's like he messed that guy's arm up. Dude. He like ripped it out.
Oh, I saw
Uh,
the post fight. I think the guy's arm was Kasugai.
yeah,
Kasugai was taped up or they put some ice on it. Hey, listen, that means that he gets to be in the an alternate. I'm all for that.
yeah. My prediction is that he's gonna fight Shuto at New Year's
Oh,
Eve as an ultimate bout.
that is an that is an awesome fight. I was wondering like why they didn't have that fight for that show, but like if that's
Yeah,
what they're gonna plan for the alternate, like an actual match, listen, that's an awesome match. Like
hey, it's
I'm
a crazy
just
match.
because
Imanari's like one of those crazy guys where it's like kind of like Paul Harris, where like I'd be afraid to grapple with him. I'm not afraid to grapple with Shuto Watanabe because he chokes people out. Like Imanari like just rips your joints out without even like the precursor of like doing it lightly.
But at least the great thing is between Imanari and Watanabe is that they neither of them are strikers. I
Right.
can't see either of them knocking out the other. Like if that happens, like you know, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna play the lottery or something because that's like a sign
It just
from
turns into like a striking match.
oh, it turns into Paul Daly and
Like going when they
MVP.
wrestled.
Yeah, when they
Yeah.
wrestled for 3 rounds. Oh, instead this will be they'll just be striking each other. There won't be any grab. They won't even go to the ground. They won't even clinch.
I mean, talk about putting two of the strangest personalities and rising together at the ring at the same time. You have like Imanari who comes out to like sex music, who his signature is a picture of a dick. That's how he signs things. He just draws a dick on it. And like he's just like this uber weird guy who's like pictures of him with the deep championship belt where he's just naked, only wearing the belt.
Mhm.
Or like him and Aoki dressed up as a schoolboy and a schoolgirl, like wrestling around. And then you got Shuto Watanabe, who like after every match in his like high pitched voice is like crying and like thanking everyone and his girlfriend. All
And
this
crying.
stuff.
He
He's
cries when
crying.
he wins and he cries when he
Yeah.
loses.
He's like, I didn't think I could do it. He's like crying. Like it's great. I love it.
You'd think that this guy was never involved in athletics, yet he's like, yeah, his dad was involved, was an MMA
Yeah.
fighter, so was
And
his
his mom.
mother. Yeah, so you'd think that like, oh, this guy is a supremely unathletic guy, and yet like just like will murk his opponent, just choke out his opponent, and then like act as if like he never thought he had the
Plus,
the emotion. Sorry, go ahead.
As I said, they're like an anime couple. It's like he eats sweets and talks with a high pitched voice, and she plays Pokemon Go all day and has a bunch of cats and a rabbit. It's like
Uh, at
they're just
least
like straight out of an anime or something.
at least they seem like a kind of like normal couple. At least they
Yeah,
seem like a normal couple, like
a normal
like
couple in the sense that they have like 5 cats and a rabbit.
from the couples that Rizin showcases, I'll say this is that they always seem to be one. Well, at least it doesn't seem like weird, or I'm not like cringing at it.
I feel like that's a direct attack at my love of the Kubo relationship, and I want more. I'm
No,
telling you, I
no,
want
no,
more.
no comment.
That
Um.
not the most recent, but the Rising Confession before that, it left me wanting more. I
Oh
want
yeah.
more Kubo.
Question though. So you saw the fight. Well, how was Mikuru and Hagiwara? Was that a good fight or was it
Um, I mean, it was a smart fight. Mikuru did what he had. I mean, if you're gonna fight a guy who's a brawler and has a knockout power like Hagiwara, what are you gonna do? You take him down.
yeah.
So in that sense, he was smart, and I think he even made a sense. Like I think he had said something like, "I'm gonna do what you did to Hiramoto to show that I'm not better than that I'm better than you. Like you showed Hiramoto you're better than him. I'm gonna show you I'm better than you." Which he did. The problem was, is before that, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 finishes, like first round finishes in a row. And so you're like exciting. Then it's kind of like long and drawn out.
It's one of
Plus,
those fights where where the fighters shit talk each other so much that it almost is that they almost it becomes like the hype for the fight was not what it was in the end. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it was almost, it's not like this, but I'm going to use this as an analogy. It's
Mhm.
kind of like the old Ben Askren fights in Bellator, where he didn't like destroy his opponent or anything, but he so one-sidedly dominated him that you can't ever see a rematch happening because Mikuru just took him down and punched and elbowed him like 1,000 times.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I kind of I would wish what Hagiwara would have won. Um, I
You want
wish.
Rising to die?
Yes, I want Rise and well, at this point, I'm kind of like off the Mikuru train. I think I don't know what his stake in MMA is because I don't know. I feel like he's not here for the long run. You know, I feel
But
like I get the feeling he's an emotionally immature person. I don't feel like he's like, see, like, I feel like I could depend on somebody like Kai. I feel like Mikuru just will leave whenever the fuck he feels like it. While Kai just is like, Kai enjoys
see,
this.
I think Rising has found these like different types of fighters, and Hagiwara is fun, but Hagiwara is not a world beater. Hagiwara is like a brawler, a striker, but he doesn't have. I mean, if Mikuru can take you down and dominate you on the ground, can you imagine what Koike would do to him?
Oh yeah. Oh, you know,
Eddie,
it.
that's my wife.
Oh, sorry, didn't
Yeah.
mean to interrupt. But yeah, very disappointing that Koike is not on for this. What I think he was on the podcast that he was injured, but I thought it was I thought it was a weight cutting issue, or at least he claimed. Is there any sort of like
Well, I think that's why people are upset, just because like it seems weird. It's like first there's a weight cutting issue, then it's an injury, and then he's asking to be on the New Year's Eve card. So I think people think that he's just trying to get on the New Year's Eve card. Is like what the detractors are saying,
mhm.
because I mean it's no secret that this upcoming Yokohama card is kind of a weak card,
I
and if
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they're hedging their bets on Yutaka Saito. I think this is their way to see is Saito a draw. I mean, because I haven't seen any sort of evidence that that his like that his stock rise. I mean, his stock must have risen somewhat after the Mikuru win, but like, did it rise exponentially to sell out arena in Yokohama? I don't know. You
not,
could
not at
probably,
all. I mean, I don't think this, even with reduced capacity, I don't think this event's going to sell out tickets. And one thing the Asakura brothers have shown is that beating the Asakura brothers, it's not like the UFC. Beating them, you don't get the rub. Like if you beat them, it's just like okay,
mm-hmm,
moving on. We want what. It's not, the story is not like who's this new guy that beat them. The story is what's Mikuru going to do now.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And
I got
so
you.
beating them means nothing. And he's like, I mean, some people like him, but he's so. I just don't think he's charismatic.
He
And
when I interview him, I feel like he's definitely. I think yeah, I don't think he understands the promotion part. He doesn't. He's not a shit talker. He is kind of like
which is fine.
yeah,
You don't have to be a shit talker.
but well, like I feel like he's a typical Japanese fighter who's like, yeah, I'm gonna do my best.
Yeah,
Uh, and
that's super boring.
he's also an all-rounder fighter, which can be both a positive and a negative. In that, you could say that like, oh, you look forward to uh so and so because they're a striker and you think they can knock him out, or you look forward to Shuto because you think he's gonna choke somebody out. But with Saito, it's kind of his fights kind of have one level,
Right.
and
Well,
that's not
you get that with a lot of like grapplers like him, where he just kind of like wrestles and gets on top of you sometimes.
mhm.
But
Like because with the Vugar fight, that was interesting because I would initially I thought he was losing. I'm like, oh, okay, this like that makes it more interesting. But like, and I don't know against Ushiku, I don't know. That's an
well, it
that's
seems weird to me because Rising is clearly trying to make him a star or something by making him the poster and having him be the
oh
main
yeah,
event of
that's
this
insane.
event. But I mean, Kana Asakura is clearly the more popular fighter on this card. Like, why isn't she on the poster at all?
Hmm.
She's like, even amongst the rising fighters, I think she has like the third or fourth biggest social media following.
I was gonna say, well, how insulting would that have been if they put Connor above the? Have they done that before? I think they did it once before for with the tension, Mayweather
I don't I
fight.
mean, I don't want to like commit to this, but I don't think they're like the UFC where they demand that the title fight be the main event.
Okay.
But I may be wrong on that. But it's just a weird commitment to me. I mean, it seems like this card, they're just waiting for foreigners to be able to come in Japan. And they're trying to set a pace where and get the market normal to being like, we want to do an event every month.
Oh yeah, they said they're going
And
to do an event every month. Ryzen Trigger, Ryzen Landmark,
yeah,
Ryzen Numbered, Ryzen Uzi, Ryzen AK-40s. I have no idea.
yeah.
They're coming up with all these funny names for these shows.
So I mean, this event especially, it feels so kind of like scrapped together. I mean, I think Stuart Fulton was kind of laughing. He was like, "This is just like a Pancrase versus Deep card."
hey, no, I think I even told you. I was like, hey, so this was like a Ryzen versus Deep show at this point. But yeah, if
Yeah.
you want to say Pankers as well, but like the amount of Deep fighters on this show is like
Well,
astronomical.
I mean, just shows like Pancrase and Deep have not been idle during the pandemic, and they've been building up fighters, and they've really benefited because Rising can't bring in foreign fighters; they need Japanese fighters, and I think that's kind of elevated Deep and Pancrase way above Shuto now
Hmm.
because Shuto's kind of their fighters sometimes come to Rising, but not really. And if they go somewhere, they go to one championship where they kind of
Also,
disappear.
here's the thing. I never know a Shudo fight or show until like the day of,
Yeah, it's
and
weird because they have a beam of TV behind them, which is like really good at promoting, but for some reason people just don't care about Shuto.
like I'll be honest, I actually hear more about Road to Shuto than I do like an actual Shuto show. I don't know if that's because
Well,
of one's has any involved, but I hear like, oh, Shinya Aoki's going on this Road to One show, like that show recently, the road. I think it was a Road to One show where
where he was
Shinya
like talking
Aoki,
about crap about Akiyama.
yeah, talking shit. Like I heard more about that than any fight on that card. That was like I heard Shinya Aoki talking shit to to Saksayama.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll agree. I mean, they have an event coming up and they're relaunching Valley Tudo Japan, which is like a Shuto offshoot, which is
Mm-hmm.
exciting. But I think Shuto's kind of sick. And I'd be happy to see what they do with Valley Tudo
There's
Japan.
like a tug of war of them where they like seem to go to one side and then they're not on one side where they're and it seems like they're going to be one exclusive, then they weren't one exclusive, and now like they're occasionally they're fight, yeah, so and also
Well, I mean,
they're not, I don't think
I
they're
have
on
a friend
UFC.
of mine,
Mhm. Sorry,
and a
go ahead.
friend of mine, Bob Jack, especially guys like that, and they used to love Shuto shows were stacked back in the day, like Horiguchi, all people like that. And
Mhm.
it's just you look at a Shuto card, and you're like, who are these people? And then you look at Deep and you look at Pancrase, and half their cards are rising veterans, and you're like, oh, I know, I've heard of these people. So
Also, I
I
don't think
think
Yoshuto's on UFC Fight Pass anymore.
I don't. I mean, I think it's on. I don't think. any Japanese promotion is at this point.
Mm-hmm. Oh no,
They're
Pancreas is
old.
not anymore.
Yeah.
Deep. I'm pretty sure if Deep was on, they would have lost a password to log in to the UFC Fight
Oh my
Pass,
god.
and the shows
So
would never
funny.
go off.
I think Deep Jewels has like 6 Twitter accounts,
Yes.
and they're all just called Deep Jewels. And then there's like a bunch of Deep accounts as well. And you can tell because like they start tweeting from like one, then they'll stop tweeting from that one, start tweeting from another one that they haven't tweeted from in like 6 years. And you're just like, okay, what the hell is going on over there?
I use what's her name? This photographer lady. What's her name? Lady
Oh, Lady Go.
Lady Go. I use her as like my Deep Jewels
He's
like.
he's a man.
Oh, oh really? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I use him as as my official like Deep and Deep Jewels announcement Twitter thing. I don't trust
He,
anybody else besides him.
he used to be a photographer for Gong magazine back in the day. And he
Okay.
actually released a book where he went and took pictures of fighters, and I think he met their mothers too, and he took pictures with the mothers, and then they interviewed them.
That's so random. Just like taking pictures of their mothers and then interviewing the mothers.
I want to say that there's a book he made that's just about like fighters, but it's kind of old now, but I bought it. But I don't know what he does now. I think he's more interested in kickboxing and wrestling now. And he's got like a chip on his shoulder about Shuto, because if you like do reporting and you cover Shuto, if you say anything negative, Shuto just removes your credentials.
Oh, okay. Really? Oh, okay. Luckily, that has to happen with Rizin. Rizin, I've been very critical of them. I still receive their press releases. Actually, before we start, because I don't know where Chris is, we do have a question in the chat from LP Take Chio. He wants to know, who do you like as a Rizin fighter? So I guess Charles, I'll put this to you. Who do you like currently as a Rizin fighter overall?
Like, who are my favorite? Is it like, what fighters do I like that are currently in Rizin?
Yeah, yeah. Pick three. Pick three. Because you might
Okay.
be here forever if we just said pick all of your favorites.
Pick 3 fighters I like in Rising. Okay. I like Naoki Inoue.
Mm-hmm.
I like Shuto Watanabe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I'm forgetting so many people. And okay. Ayaka Hamasaki. I mean, I want to throw Rina in there too. Okay. Let's just do Naoki Inoue. I like Ayaka Hamasaki. And I like Rena. If we're doing all time, I'm going to throw Baruto in the list.
Can we count Imanari as a rising fighter now since he's had 2 fights?
You
Can you
can. I mean,
okay, I'm picking him. I'm picking
yeah.
Imanari. I'm gonna go with current fighters as well because I'm not gonna because if I had said like previously, I would have picked like Crone Gracie as well because I think Crone is awesome.
Yeah,
But
I like
I'm gonna
Pro Cop.
he's retired. Oh yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think. So I got Imanari. I'm gonna say Horiguchi. Oh, can we count Horiguchi anymore?
Yeah, he hasn't fought for Bellator yet.
Okay, I'm gonna put Horiguchi in there. And as for, I want to pick a woman as well. I don't want to discriminate. Uh, I'm gonna say Ayaka. I'll say Ayaka. I would put Reina in there, but she hasn't fought in a year, and I wasn't too impressed with her last fight. And so, but I always love a Hamazaki fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question. The more you think about it, Rising's done such a good job of like promoting all their fighters. Like, I love the way that they like just promote the fighters as they are.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many different personalities to kind of like.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And I wish, it's not just, I'm here to win the championship type thing. There's so
Yeah.
many stories behind who was it? There was the Deep Jewels fighter who said that she was trying to find a boyfriend. Do you remember
Oh,
her?
she's a Shuto fighter now. It's a
Tomo
Shuto
Mesawa.
champion.
Was it Tomo
Mina
Mesawa?
Kurobe.
Mina Kurobe.
Mina
Mina
Kurobe.
Kurobe. Yeah.
And all of her videos are about her finding a boyfriend. And I think she said they asked her what her favorite type of guy was, and she said Mark Hunt. And I was like, good luck finding that in Japan.
Good luck. Yes. Good luck. Maybe
She's
Samurai
good.
Mark Hunt.
She's a friend, and she's a usual training partner of Kana Asakura and like Ayaka Miura and Emi Fujino.
Oh, that whole crew. That whole
Yeah,
crew.
yeah. The not the ACC crew.
Yeah, when I would love to just like see like I guess a night out in the town on a Friday night in Roppongi or Shinjuku with the AAC crew, just like what they do. Because they all just seem to like just hang out with each other. They seem to be having fun. They seem to be great friends. They've probably fought each other also, probably like in some way. So that's also interesting as well.
I want to
Um,
go to that one barbecue restaurant they always, that yakiniku restaurant they always take to. I
yes.
think it's called Peking, and they always like take pictures there with giant platters of meat. So I want to go there one day. So
Okay. It's so Charles, I don't know where Chris is, but I think I don't want
he's
to
right
keep you.
there. I see him.
Oh, Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh,
what's
Chris.
good, y'all? I have finally arrived after, being late for so damn long and wasting half of y'all's time. But yeah, this is the We Are Rising podcast where we discuss about all things about the Rising Fighting Federation in Japanese MMA, or when it gets down to it, like what they just gone through. Obviously, we tend to shoot the shit. But still, I know that y'all were talking about all-time rising fighters. I mean, to be honest, this promotion's been around for what? Almost 6 years, and we're just now talking about all-time fighter list?
No, not all-time fighters. I think someone asked who our we asked who our favorite rising fighters are. So Andrew and I were limiting ourselves to current.
Yeah, I was trying not to think of people who retired or like who at least had more than one fight. I think
Understood.
because if because then I would immediately just say oh my god I'm forgetting the YouTuber oh
Shibata.
Shibatar,
Okay,
yes.
so that moment was absolutely nuts. I loved that moment. But I mean, if we're going like one fight, Rin Nakai also has to like fly to the top of my list. She came out with like wings and a sword, I believe.
I would have to say that that Kamen Joshi chick from the Yaranoka
Oh,
show.
the one that fought Gabby Garcia.
No, not the one that fought Gabby Garcia. The one that I think she lost her fight, but that Kamen Joshi chick. You don't know who I'm talking about, do you, CJ?
Um, the pro wrestling girl that fought someone
No,
besides Gabby Garcia.
uh, no, dude. I'll send it to you after we're done with this program.
What did you say her name was?
She represented a group called Kamen Joshi, Kamenjoshi.
Was she Japanese?
Yes, she was Japanese. You know what? Let me go ahead and search real quick because I know that we are trying to get set into this. I know that we are trying to get set.
Oh, you're talking about the idol girl that wore the Freddy
Yeah,
Krueger mask? Oh yeah, she
yes.
retired.
What, after one fight?
No, she fought more after that. She fought in Deep Jewels several times.
Oh, of course.
What's her name? Like Kawamoto or something?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. I'll send you all the details after we're done. But yeah.
No, I remember her. Yeah, she fought I and lost.
Oh yeah, Ai Shimizu.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she is probably the reason why.
Yeah, it's Nanaka Kawamoto. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. But she will probably be one of the top five, showmen or showwomen as far as this promotion goes.
I was like, why the outside of her entrance? Why is she in your top? She fought for them like one time.
Because she basically made an impact, even though it was only with one fight.
Valid.
Yeah, I know I love picking obscure people, but still. Anyways, let's just go ahead and get going with the Rising 31 card. It's going to take place from the Pia Arena MM in Yokohama, Kanagawa, Japan. This weekend, if you're watching this or listening to this right now, October 22nd, which will probably be live October 21st in most parts of the US. But it's going to be live on Live Now, LIVENOW, Live Now Global was the Twitter handle, and live-now.com is the website. But still, you're going to be seeing 11 exciting fights, 9 MMA, 2 kickboxing. And they're all going to be pretty hectic, especially the main event between Yutaka Saito and Juntaro Ushiku. Now, since we're going by the actual card order that was posted by the Rizin Fighting Federation about a few weeks ago, well, actually, no, a week or so ago, Andrew, why don't we talk about the first fight on the card, which is going to be a 51 kilogram or 112-pound kickboxing bout with elbows allowed?
Yeah, Chris, also make sure to check your messages. I sent you a very detailed message. Regarding the kickboxing, I'm going to combine them actually, just because I think we'll have more to say about one versus the other, which I'm pretty sure is understandable. So the first fight will be, like Chris said, a kickboxing fight, and the very rare 112-pound division of kickboxing. I'm just going to get the names up, and also there's not a lot I think we'll be able to say about either competitor. But the two fighters are. Oh, I just lost my. Where's my?
It's
Oh, there it is.
Ryu Okawaki versus Ryuto Oinuma.
Yes. And then the other kickboxing fight on the show will be the return of Nadaka Yoshinari taking on Naoki Ishikawa. I guess, Charles, do you have anything to say about the opening fight? I don't think there's a lot we can say because I'm not too familiar. The only thing I can really say about Okiwaki is that he actually has fought Nadaka twice four times in amateur kickboxing. So they're 2-2.
What were the results of those?
Oh, 2-2. So Okiwaki defeated him twice, and Nadaka defeated him twice. None were finishes.
Interesting. So I mean, I'm not that big on the kickboxing scene. I mean, I know enough, but I don't really know anything about either one of these guys, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think that this fight is mainly a fight to find somebody next for Nadaka. That's exactly. And I'm presuming that they want Okiwaki to win because just of the history between him and Yoshinari. Well, sorry, go ahead.
If they're even, it makes some interesting backstory for the fight, because the problem is that while the guy looks so good, he's destroyed his opponents up till now. It's hard to put it in perspective without knowing how good his opponents are.
Yeah,
this might be an attempt to find the Joe Frazier that Muhammad Ali needed to kind of push.
I will say this, that Ryuto Oinuma has a very cool knockout. It was a spinning he went for a spinning elbow and then turned he went for a spin kick, then did another spin kick into a knockout. And this was, you can if you type in his name, Ryuto Oinuma, you can see it's the first thing that comes up on Beyond Kickboxing's GIFable.
Beyond Kickboxing Tandoor website, right?
Yeah, and that was for knockout, ironically.
We're getting called out for one of their tweets earlier today, so I'll go check it out.
Beyond Kickboxing?
Yeah. I think they said that what Radatong was calling it. Takeru called out Radatong, and someone responded he didn't call him out, and they're like, "Calm down, man. We're just tweeting." Classic kickboxing beef.
Oh yes, always kickboxing beef. But I think the fight that we'll have a little bit more to say is the let me get the graphic up here. Nadaka Yoshinari
it's Nadaka versus Ishikawa.
Yep, Nadaka. Where's my graphic? But yes, Nadaka's returning to Rizin.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? There it is. What do you think about this fight, Charles?
I mean, Nadaka Yoshinari is really, really good. And
by the way, look at the age difference: 35 and 19.
20. You moved your head and I saw 20.
I'm sorry, 20. I'm looking at the height. I was like, why is it 19? Okay, 20 and 35.
Pretty big age gap. I mean, he's obviously got the skills. I think they're having a hard time getting people to care about Yoshinari, and they need him to get some more dominant finishes, and they can start moving him up the card.
Well, I mean, to be honest, how can they not try and find a hard time for people to care about him. The dude's 3-0 in the promotion, and I think 2 of those wins are via knockout.
True, but I think that the kickboxing generally is always going to be kind of on the back burner to most Rising fans because it's first and foremost an MMA promotion, unless you're like a Tenshin Nasukawa. But he just needs to have some more memorable moments, I guess.
Understood.
So I think
honest,
once the borders open up and they can start bringing in like Thai fighters from the fight, Japanese fans love that.
Either Thai fighters or obscure European and South Americans.
Yeah, I mean Japanese fans love that whole Japanese versus the world thing, so that could help skyrocket them up the rankings and the notice level.
Andrew kind of agree with the fact that Yoshinari Nadaka, needs to fight more foreign talent after he beats Ishikawa, which he's gonna probably do soundly.
Oh yeah, I think he will beat him soundly. I think I don't want to be in that office for Sakakibara if Ishikawa somehow does win. And I do think I think that they're gonna eventually try to bring in more. I don't know about definitely Thai talent. I don't know about European talent at that weight. Also should mention that he is going up in weight for this fight. Nadaka, 117 pounds. I think this is.
So small. Yeah, it says 117.9. So small.
You can basically say it's like the bantamweight division in boxing, so to speak. You always don't have guys that are at that 115, 16-pound range go up and try and fight the best in the world, even if it's just the best domestically.
But yeah, again, I think whoever wins that first kickboxing match, they're gonna put them up against Nadaka, maybe for New Year's Eve potentially, if they can't get foreigners in by then. I think if they can get they would rather put a foreigner in than a Thai guy. So I don't know I don't know who the hottest 112-pound fighter in Thai is, but if they can get that in rather than doing the I guess the first pro rematch between Okiwaki and Yoshinari, I think they will probably do that. But we're gonna be moving on to the meat of the card, MMA meat, I'll say. And
now, Andrew, when it comes down to this, do you want to just go by division or by card order?
No, we're gonna go by division. I think that'll be a lot easier to talk about because I think there's a lot of connection between the divisions. And
in that case, smallest division first. I see you got Taichiro Ito versus Kunta Hashimoto up. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, and then the other flyweight match will be Yutaka Nakamura finally making his presumed fighting return. We'll have to see. Hopefully his opponent makes weight this time, taking on Yuki Ito, who had a very incredible win in his Rizin debut, Yuki Ito, and then just recently fought for the deep flyweight championship, if I'm correct, right? Right, Charles?
I believe so, yes.
Am
I Ito?
Yeah, Ito. I was against Yamato Fujita, which was a very good match. He didn't win, but it was a very good match, regardless. Oh yes, here's the graphic for that. But we'll talk about Ito Hashimoto first. And Charles, what do you think about this matchup between these two flyweights?
It's kind of an interesting fight because which one are you talking about?
Oh, sorry, Ito and Hashimoto.
I'm sorry, get the other graphic up.
Sorry.
It's kind of an interesting fight. Ito is kind of recovering from a little bit of a rough patch. I think he's coming off his one win after 3 losses in a row. But before that, he was looking really good. So it's kind of interesting to see how he recovers from that and if he's recovered or if it's just going to be a momentary break in the downward spiral. So it's kind of an interesting match to see where he's at personally. Whereas Hashimoto, 7-1, he's looking pretty good.
I watched some of his matches in I think it's Nexus, ZST. He's a good fighter. This guy, he's really. I'm surprised that he's been relegated to Zest. That like Deep or Pancreas never picked him up even beyond that.
think he was looking at his record, one Pancrase fight, then fighting Nexus. But maybe he just wanted to. Maybe he liked fighting Nexus. He had a relationship with them. He got started with them, so maybe that's what happened there. But that being said, fighting Nexus is kind of an obscure promotion, so you don't know how good he is until he fights Ito, because we know how good Ito is.
Oh, things that
Mm.
though, Ito's been doing all those grappling things for Quintet. Has he been focusing on MMA a lot recently? I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this fight tells us a lot. It tells us, since Hashimoto spent most of his career in Fight Nexus, it tells us how good he is. And it tells us if Ito has made a recovery or if he should go back to the Quintet tournaments.
How do you see this fight going, Charles? Do you think it's going to be a grappling match? Do you think we're going to get an Ito submission?
Well,
What's your
I
thoughts?
mean, it's got to be a grappling match, right? I mean, 1 KO for Hashimoto and 3 for Ito compared to
Well, because you know how
7 for
MMA
those
math
two.
works. If they're
Yeah,
both
exactly.
grapplers, they gotta knock each other out.
Well, especially with Ito's like recent, I mean, as you said, all the grappling tournaments he's been doing, you'd think he would go to grappling.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if one of them feels like they have a striking edge, maybe they'll try to keep it striking. But I mean, this is kind of one of those fun matches, like back in the day when Invicta FC would bring over like a girl from Germany and a girl from Mexico who have no common opponents. You're just like,
Mm-hmm.
well, this should be fun to see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Chris, what are your
In a
thoughts?
way, I would probably think that Ito, being a former Zest flyweight champion, would probably beat Kunta Hashimoto, the current the current Fighting Nexus flyweight champion. But still, you got to look at the specifics here. Hashimoto, this will be his Rizin debut, and he's currently riding a 4-fight winning streak. For Ito, this will be his 4th Rizin fight, and he's currently 1-2 in Rizin. You would have to think that when it comes to Ito, this is a fight that's going to pretty much determine if he's going to even stay in Rizin. Even though his one win was against Kizemon Saiga, and then he got knocked out by Manel Cape and choked out by Makoto Shinryu Takahashi. But still, point is, I think that Ito will probably try not to make this a grappling match. Like, I get the whole aspect of, if you want to see two grapplers, it's going to end in a knockout. But still, though, the point for Ito would be to not make this a grappling match. He already does enough of that in Quintet. I mean, I don't even think that anybody wants to see this fight go to the ground. But
I do.
Really? I mean, do
Okay,
you want it for us?
it's one of those one of those big waves. It's kind of like if Imunari and Shuto have a fight, I want to see it go to the ground because I want to see like is it still I want to see what they're gonna work off between the two. I get what you're saying though. It's not I get what you're saying, but I have to assume that I'm assuming that probably Ito is the just better grappler. So I'm that's what I'm just going off of.
I mean, I can understand that. It's just the fact that when it comes to Ito, there's a lot more things he can be doing just to try. I mean, rather than try and look for a submission, which is all grappling is. I think he can probably knock Hashimoto out, but I doubt it. I do think that Ito will win this fight against Hashimoto, but it will not go to the ground. That's just my opinion.
I think
Now,
though, yeah, I think it does when it comes to the MMA aspect. If this were a grappling match, I picked Ito, but I have to take into account that time off that he's been doing and how he's looked in his last fights, minus the one win that he had recently in Zest. But he's lost against some pretty. So he's like you said, Shinryu, Cape, Sawamoto.
It was like a weird downward spiral he went through.
Yeah, yeah. And so I'm gonna pick Hashimoto on this with I guess not an upset, but I guess the passing of the torch. Rise's next formerly Zest fighter making it in Rizin. That's who I'm crowning Hashimoto as. What do you think, Charles?
of course.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think they're obviously bringing it in. I mean, Ito, just hard to tell because they're so different in their career paths. But
Mhm.
I mean, Hashimoto appears to be the fighter on the rise, so maybe this is a test to see how good he is.
I also don't think that if Hashimoto loses, he loses anything. But
Yeah,
I think this tells us more about Ito going forward than it does about Hashimoto.
right.
I think
I'd agree.
and we're going to talk about the other
And
flyweight matchup, which is unfortunately we don't have Jack with us to cheerlead. I think who's the cheerleader? Was it you or who? Jack, the Nakamura cheerleader,
Oh,
Charles.
it was probably Jack. I
Okay.
think Nakamura matches kind of depress me.
And
uh,
they've entered that level where it's just like you just don't want to see him fight anymore.
Yeah, because it was like watching Boku fight, where it's
Mhm.
like he's gotten better, the skills are there, he just can't take a punch anymore.
And when he does, he
And
loses all of his teeth.
yeah, and he gets hit, and it's so sad to watch. He'll be like doing well, and just like one shot, and it all falls apart.
I think,
yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah.
unlike Kotetsu no Face Boko, Yusaku Nakamura can actually take a hit. Plus, he's younger, and plus, he trains out Team Alpha Male.
I mean,
Well, the
does
Japanese,
he take a hit well?
huh?
I thought in his last couple fights,
He's
he's
been knocked out
not
in all
looked
of them.
good.
He's been knocked out or submitted, or with the top Noi fight, he got all of his teeth knocked out. That was the last fight that he won, and I don't even think he won that. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's just
So you're
I just
saying that he's gonna have a problem trying to beat up Yuki Ito, who's
Yuki
only
Ito, yeah, Yuki Ito knocked out Sugiyama in about what was it, 20 seconds and
33 seconds.
33 seconds.
You're saying that he's gonna have trouble against him?
Oh,
well,
absolutely. And
Nakamura is a skilled guy. The problem is though, in his past couple fights, you can hurt him,
oh
and he's
yeah.
going to be cautious because of that.
Also, Ito almost beat Yamato Fujita for the deep. It was a split decision loss, but he looked great against him. And listen, it's this. If there's ever, how I think didn't Sakakaki Bauer say that Trigger was going to be veterans versus up and coming
Right?
fighters. This is a Trigger fight. This is clear as day a Trigger fight between Nakamura and Ito. This is there to put Ito over. Ito should win. He should knock out Nakamura with ease, or at least defeat him handily. Nakamura has not looked good. This is the entirely Ito's fight to win. I don't see how Nakamura can win. I really don't. Less of an injury or something. I don't know. What do you think,
He's a
Charles?
crafty. I mean, he was good. And I think he's skilled. I just think his ability to take a punch has completely collapsed.
Jamie GM says that Ito Fujita and Deep that they loved that fight and this should be a fun fight. I think it should be, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be at Nakamura's brain cell expense, unfortunately.
In his last fight, the Sawamoto fight, I feel like Nakamoto was aware of that, and he was like moving very well, and he was doing well until he wasn't. Like he was winning the
Yes.
fight, and then all of a sudden he wasn't winning the fight. It was over.
Listen,
I think how the next couple fights of his are going to go.
Nakamura comes out. He comes out in his gi. He smiles. He's, the crowd seems to love him. He seems to be enjoying it. I'm not going to knock him for taking a payday for a fight, but it's not the level of like BJ Penn yet or Kitaoka where
Being
like
beat up at a barbecue or whatever.
exactly, or I just I don't want them to see any sort of combat experience, combat setting. But if he gets knocked out like brutally in this one, I really do think that it's gonna every proceeding fight will be more worrisome and worrisome that I see that Nakamura is in.
Well, I mean, if Nakamura loses this fight, that's him losing 6 of his past 8 fights. That's not a good look for a guy that went into Rising at 14-4.
And he's a former champion as well. It's just I think time has caught up with him.
WSOF GC champions don't count. That promotion was
They don't
ridiculous.
Count. Okay, they don't count. Okay, a champion in writing only. A champion in writing only. Chris, what do you think? Ito Nakamura. How do you think this fight goes?
I mean, when it comes down to Nakamura, isn't he 1-3 overall in Rizin? Well, actually, no. 2-3 in Rizin, 2-2 in MMA bouts for the promotion.
Oh yeah, I forgot he has he has the kickboxing matches as well. I forgot about
No,
that.
he's 2-1 in Rising for non-kickboxing bouts. He's 1-2 for non-kickboxing bouts.
Or 2-1 under Rizin rules, if you want to count the Bellator fight that he had. But still,
No, you gotta swap it. He's lost more than he's won.
Oh yeah, of course. But when it comes down to this fight against Ito, I mean, I think he's gonna have a problem trying to keep a pace with him. I mean, I think that Nakamura's gonna have a problem keeping pace with Ito because Ito, we all know, has that one knockout in his most recent Rizin outing. You know, it's gonna be fun to see how that fight transpires. But if y'all are saying that Nakamura is durable and he can't really take a hit like he's Kotetsu Boku or something, then this fight's not going to last long. And I'm going to say that Yuki Ito is going to win via knockout.
I say first round. And I say I think first minute.
I have no knowledge about this. My theory, though, is that Rising's always been using Nakamura as a way to build up other fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has the rub of having fought abroad. And so if you look at the people that have been having him fight, his last guy, 14-2, current opponent, 8-2, at Bellator show, 9-1, but Manel Cape, Tenshin, they're just trying to build fighters off of his back, is what it looks like to me. I don't know what you guys think, but
I think so, absolutely.
Are you just saying the gatekeeper?
Yeah, the rub giver.
The rub giver.
Oh, Lord.
The rub giver. I like that.
Yeah, let's not put that one.
I think you hit the I think you hit it correctly, Charles. I think that's exactly what Nakamura is there for. And I don't.
Come on, dude! For fuck's sake, this is supposed to be a PG-13 podcast. We're not trying to go rated X.
I do think that I think he does recognize. He does recognize that. I'm hoping he does. If he doesn't, well, oh well. But I think
he's like, they gave me another hot prospect. Yeah, he doesn't realize what's happening.
Oh yeah, this is my time to shine. This is Rizin getting behind me because they're putting behind all the young guys.
Oh my God, that's right. His last fight was that weird ass fight where he came out fully clothed to announce, and the fight didn't happen.
Yes, it was. His opponent missed weight or couldn't make weight, so he came out and still gave a speech to the crowd.
That's one of the weirdest things.
Because I thought, I remember watching that.
He came out in full battle regalia, and everyone was like, "Wait a minute, is this fight happening?"
They pulled a fast one. And even the commentators didn't know what was going on. They did. Yeah. They had no idea.
English commentators didn't know what was going on. The Japanese probably did.
Did they, Charles? Did the Japanese commentators know what was going on? I feel like Rizin.
I don't remember. I wasn't paying that close of attention to the commentary.
Okay. But yeah, I think easy win for Ito. Do you think that this is a first round knockout, Charles?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What about Chris? Do you think first round knockout?
I say second.
Okay.
Unless we get an overly cautious Nakamura, pulls a Shinya Aoki and runs in circles for the first round just to make it out.
Oh,
well, that can happen. Either that or he'll probably try and do his best to fight him, but just gas out.
And we're
now, considering the fact that we're done talking about that fight, we're going into the heaviest men's division after flyweight, at least for this card, and that'll be the featherweight division. I see you, Andrew, got a graphic up to Kuya Yamamoto versus Dark Ukutoshirokawa. Why don't we talk about it?
Mm-hmm. And the other one is Daichi Abbey versus Akira, and that's Akira Okada, in case you don't know what his last name is. So don't look up Akira, MMA fighter. You're going to get 1,000 names. It's Akira Okada. But yeah,
let's just say you probably might get Akira from All Japan Pro Wrestling rather than
oh my God, that too. Well, here's the thing. If you type in Akira, what's the first thing that's going to probably come up? Akira Kurosawa. So yeah.
I was going to say the anime.
That or the anime movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dark Shirakawa, probably one of my least favorite fighters in Rizin, a Triforce guy, a Mikuru guy. He's in all of Mikuru's videos, I think, as well. Um,
I love that intro. My least favorite guy in Rice.
I have never, for a guy who's supposed who's so fun to watch in deep, has made such a his Rizin tenure is just so like it's been so like ugh like
Yeah.
I don't know what it is that that he comes in and he just like he stinks it up for me. I'm not
You just
enjoying his fights.
you hated watching him soccer kick Boku too. Is that what it's going down to?
I hated the fact that he didn't do it early enough.
Yeah.
That fight almost went almost full 3 rounds, and like the
Yeah.
fact that he couldn't do it in one is
Yeah.
it's honestly pathetic. That like it doesn't take a lot to knock out Boku.
Yeah.
And then he had the fight against Jin Aoi, which was supposed to be a hot prospect fight, and it was just like a staring contest. It was like a light sparring session between the two. I don't the fight didn't even go down to the ground. Um, yeah, I'm not a fan of his. Takuya Yamamoto, I watched some of his fights, and this guy, well, here's the thing, he only has one loss, and it's he stupidly decided to knee his opponent while they're on the ground in Gretchen.
So it's like a classic Anderson Silva
Oh yeah,
style one DQ loss.
he was winning. He was beating the shit out of his opponent, and then he just did a knee. I have no idea why. I watched the video. I'm like, why did you go for a knee? You
It had
stupid
to be
idiot.
done.
It had
Had
to
to
be
be
done.
done.
But yeah, Yamamoto is a great fighter. You can see a bunch of his stuff on YouTube. He's fun to watch. What do you think, Charles, about this fight?
I mean,
Is
it's
this
fun.
another excuse to have Triforce on the card?
Well,
Mikuru's
obviously, I mean,
friends.
they want to have anyone with Mikuru associated with it, but I'm also fun because I love the cross promotional stuff. So I mean, Yamamoto's almost all of his fights are for Grachan, which not a lot of Grachan fighters in Rising. So yet again, it's kind of like, yeah, these guys don't have a lot of common opponents, so it's an interesting fight. And I'm also not that interested in Shirakawa, so I think I'll be favoring Yamamoto personally in this fight. But that's about
He's
it.
great in deep. Shirakawa's fights are great in deep, and he has some really cool finishes. But his fights in Ryzen have not been exciting at
See,
all.
I think it works in like pro wrestling when you do the whole like legend killer angle.
Mhm.
But when you do it in MMA, every time it's been done, I think they tried to do it with Brendan Schaub, like back in the UFC. They had him like fight Krokop and Nogueira and all those people. And every time it happens, I just end up like not liking the guy that they're trying to promote as the legend killer, which is like what I feel like they tried to do with Shirakawa. And it's like, I don't want to watch some guy beat up these guys we all love. It doesn't make me like them. It makes me not like them.
By the way, actually, I do have to correct myself. Abe Akira is not that's a lightweight fight. The other featherweight fight is Daichi Nakamura versus Suguru Ni. And actually, there's actually one more. It's
Oh
Masanori
yeah, there
Kanehara.
is one more. Masanori Kanehara returns from retirement to take on Takahiro Ashida.
But yeah, going back to Shirakawa Yamamoto. Yeah, I'm happy that Gratchen's getting some love. I think Gratchen is a very interesting promotion whenever
Yeah.
it seems to run, even though it seems like to run like it has no consistent schedule. I'll learn of a Gratchen show through Tapology that just happened like a week ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
how did I not hear about this show? I don't even know if their shows have any sort of, do they have any sort of streaming service or anything that their shows
Ooh,
get put on?
that's a good question.
Or
I
is it
am
only like
not
a live thing?
not as familiar with Grachan as the other ones because it's always like the obscure one. I don't really hear about it. It's kind of like in the same world as Fighting Nexus and Zest to me.
Mm-hmm. Chris, what do you think about this fight, Shirakawa and Yamamoto?
Even though Yamamoto is a Grachan champion, I can see by the graphic on his little fight thing or whatever. But still, even though Yamamoto is a current Grachan champion, I do think there is going to be Rikuto's fight to win because we both know. I think we interviewed him before. He wants nothing more but to excite the fans, right?
Yeah, but we haven't interviewed Shirakawa before.
Damn. Sorry.
Um,
Maybe we should probably get that on our bucket list. Interview Dark Recruito Shirakawa.
mhm.
But still, when it when it comes down to, Shirakawa, he's probably looking to prove that he's one of the major names in the rising featherweight division, possibly to take on Saito for the featherweight. No, why am I saying lightweight? It's featherweight. He's looking to become one of the top names in the featherweight division to face off against Yutaka Saito for the title. And what better way to get a win and get that chance to be noticed in the featherweight division than to take on a current domestic champion, two-time domestic champion in this case, from what I'm looking at on the graphic, in Yamamoto.
Yeah, Yamamoto. Yeah, here's the thing. If I don't see Shirakawa, I don't think this will. It's so we got two strikers. It'll be a striking match, I have to believe, and I think that Yamamoto is the much more superior striker from watching his fights, and he can knock out Shirakawa. I think more likely than Shirakawa can knock him out. I'm picking Yamamoto to win this fight, and I think we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see a cool fight in this one. I'm hoping that Shirakawa does bring it though.
Mm-hmm.
You said, Charles, you think that you're picking Yamamoto personally?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not gambling, so I'll allow myself to be blinded.
Fair enough. And Chris, you said you're picking Shirakawa?
Yeah, I'm picking Shirakawa to win at least by first or second round knockout.
Now, with this next match, there's only one winner you can pick, and I will not accept any other substitute in Daisuke Nakamura versus Suguru Ni. And so the question I have for you, Charles.
Of the fact that Daisuke Nakamura is a former U-File wrestler and a deep champion?
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Charles, why is Nakamura going to win this, and why should Nakamura then go on to face Saito for the featherweight championship, presuming he wins?
Because despite his age, Nakamura still looks pretty good.
He's so fucking awesome. I love this. So, by the way, he almost beat Juntaro Ushiku when they had the actual title match in Deep. So imagine that timeline. He beats
that knockout. Their first fight, that knockout was absolutely brutal. I was at that fight. He knocked him out cold with a knee.
And here, Ushiku, he had been blinded as well. Didn't he get like eye poked twice or headbutted as well?
Oh my god, yeah, that fight. Forgot about that. That fight had one of the worst headbutts I'd ever seen. It was like a running headbutt.
And I think also didn't Nakamura. He also got eye poked as well. I think
he did. Yeah.
So he got eye
fouls in that fight. And
yeah,
he brutally knocked him out with a knockout with a knee. It was absolutely brutal. I loved it.
And then they had
wearing his black Speedo.
They had the rematch for the actual title, which makes sense. But Nakamura almost won that, but it wasn't. It was a split decision, loss for him. But imagine that timeline. Nakamura beats Ushiku. We have Saito versus Nakamura in the main event for Rizin 31.
Hey, I'd watch.
I watch too. I hope that's what happens eventually. But yeah, well, not to take away from Knee. He's a lightweight fighter actually also. And he was part of a tournament for a promotion in Hawaii, not PXC, a different one, I believe. Actually may have been PXC. And he's also
for some place called X1.
Yeah,
X1, that's it. That's X1. And
I think PXC was like Guam or something.
Guam, yeah, that was Guam, yeah.
PXC was mostly based out of Guam in the Philippines.
He also is a bouncer by trade, and he said he's going to this fight he's going to represent all bouncers going into this fight.
All right.
If you go on his Instagram, he's always posting photos of him like in a suit, and he's doing like all these like short little, I guess, vignettes. Like I guess it's with him and his friends, just like making comedy videos on like I guess people trying to get into like as him as a bouncer denying people, and I guess them making excuses like trying to get into a club or something. They seem funny. I can't understand what they're saying, but they seem pretty funny. But please, I hope Nakamura wins this. I really want Nakamura to go on this upward trend of just work.
They did their best to try to find an opponent that's like at his level for his age. So I mean, what do you do for a 41-year-old? You find a guy that's 12 and 10.
Mm-hmm. But Knee is a good fighter, though. He is a good fighter, and if you watch those,
Knee a former Valley Tudo Japan star.
I don't know.
No, he did a lot. Most of his fights were in Pancrase and Deep.
And if you want to see any of his fights, the X1 fights are all available on YouTube. And he's got a deadly Kimura. As you can see, 7 subs, but that doesn't compare to Nakamura's 15 subs in his 100 fight career. Man,
I see like what is not his most recent, but his second to most recent fight. He won by knockout. He's got knockout power. He can submit people. So he's a dangerous guy, but I mean, you still can't separate the fact he's 12-10.
Also, we can't deny that Nakamura is now becoming a knockout artist and a submission, and is also a submission artist as well.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is he gonna suplex him, then he gonna try and make him tap, but then when that doesn't work, he gonna try and knock him out.
I'm gonna say Nakamura by submission. I'm gonna. Oh, by the way, I just realized his fight type says pro wrestling under.
Yeah.
That's
why he wears the Speedo. That's why he wears the Speedo.
He's a pro wrestler for U-File, dude.
I know. And also Noah now. He also wrestles in Noah.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, interesting.
Chris, what do you think about this fight? I think I know who you're gonna pick anyway, but go ahead, tell us your thoughts.
I mean, let's just face it. Daisuke has 51 fights in his professional MMA career. Suguru Ni has fought in 22 professional MMA fights. Did my previous saying of how he's going to finish this man off not bring any sort of imagination to how you think this going to end? I mean, yeah, I can see now from the graphic that Suguru Ni is a former Grappler's Crown winner, but that don't make anything worth the difference. Because I think that when it comes to Nakamura winning this fight, he's going to take all those skills he learned from U-File and just basically use Suguru Ni as his own personal grappling dummy.
I think we're gonna see a classic Nakamura armbar. I think that's how he finishes Ni. If he somehow submits, I think the only way Ni can win this is by knockout. Then again, Nakamura is a knockout artist now. So I wouldn't say striking with Nakamura is smart at this point. But so imagine this scenario, Charles. In the main event, Ushiku defeats Saito. Then they do Ushiku.
So Daisuke is one step removed from being the rising champion.
Yes, they do. They have to do Ushiku Nakamura on a Rizin show somewhere down the line. Because Saito's too injured. Actually, they probably would put Mikuru in there. They probably would put Mikuru to face Ushiku.
Oh my god, that'd be a murder.
Oh, but I'm hoping that this leads up to Nakamura. Imagine Nakamura versus Mikuru.
Oh, that would be nightmare. That would be nightmarish for every YouTuber that cares about cares about the Asakura brothers' safety.
But it's a crazy fight. But just having Nakamura, I'm hoping Nakamura's in this for the long run. I hope this is not just we just want to use you because you're deep.
I hope the 41-year-old is in this for the long run.
I hope. Listen, him, Imanari, they just have that aura around them. They just have that old school aura that a lot of the fire, that they're just the fight.
Nakamura looks older than Imanari, physically.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Even though, I would definitely say that.
He's definitely got that old man bod as he's going in.
Oh yeah. I'm surprised he still can make featherweight, to tell you the truth. I'm surprised that he's not doing lightweight at this point, or even welterweight. We also have a comment in the chat right now that I just missed. Nakamura ditches UWF boots though. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was only wearing the black Speedo.
Yeah, I think it's imagine a fan who tunes in for the first time, doesn't know who Nakamura is, and they see this guy in a Speedo come out. I wonder what their thoughts will be. I'm really curious to know what their thoughts would be.
Who was that UFC fighter that got kicked out of the UFC for wearing the Speedo?
Oh, was it not Hallman? Was
Dennis Superman Hallman. That's
didn't his balls pop out or something during the fight?
Yes, it was probably too hot for TV. It's probably too hot for pay-per-view for them, but still. they would probably think, the casual viewer would probably think that Daisuke Nakamura is a complete badass.
I hope so. I hope, first time fans who have not seen him like marvel at how awesome Nakamura is.
Mm.
Now we're gonna talk about the last featherweight fight on this show. It's an interesting fight. It's if you want to talk about murder, I think this is gonna be a murder fight. It's gonna be Masanori Kanehara apparently returning from retirement and going up in weight, taking on Takahiro Ishida. I don't think Kanehara is. I don't think Kanehara is gonna come out of this fight alive. I really don't. I don't think he's. This is in terms of mismatch. I think this is a mismatch. What do you think, Charles?
Kind of agree. Ishida's part of Brave Gym, Miyata's gym, and they've been producing a lot of top talent recently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when their guys lose, they still look like absolute studs. And I'm all about Brave recently. And Kanehara, I'm not really a big fan of like when guys like semi go away and then come back at this point in their career.
And moving up in weight as well, by the way.
Yeah.
So he's been gone for like about a year, and now he's
Yeah.
moving up in weight.
Which is never, in my opinion, like that great of a sign. Like I've always like maintained, if you can make a weight, there's very rare cases where moving up in weight is the answer. Like if you're having problems and you can make lightweight, going to welterweight isn't going to solve your problems.
Mhm.
You're going to be tiny in
Yeah.
that division. And so I don't like guys when they move up in weight unless they're young, unless they're like 19 or 20. That makes sense to me because they're still developing. But at this stage in his career, moving up, going against a guy from a gym that's been producing some top talent recently, solid wrestlers, I mean, Olympic wrestlers, the head coach, I got to go with Ishida.
Oh yeah. Same thing as here. And the last fight that Kanehara had was a knockout loss to Victor Henry.
But that being said, Victor Henry's a stud.
Yeah.
I like Victor Henry. So there's
Same
no
here.
shame on that loss, but it's just like the culmination of a bunch of things together.
And also, yeah, the layoff like over a year because that was February of last year, I think it was. Chris, what I know you like both guys, but what do you think about this fight?
I guess I'm gonna have to be the outlier on this and pick Masanori Kanehara, because if you look at it this way, Kanehara's fought in the UFC. He's fought all the greats that there were to have seen in Japanese combat sports and in some obscure corners of combat sports, especially getting that win over Kid Yamamoto, the late great Kid Yamamoto, almost 12 years ago. And obviously,
how dare you bring that up?
Yeah. Well, I know. Sue me. Oh, wait, you can't. You're in Japan. But still, point of the matter is, he's looking to bounce back off of losing handedly to Victor Henry after, of course, submitting Victor Henry in quintet. And obviously he hasn't fought since the pandemic. I mean, since before the pandemic in mixed martial arts. And, he doesn't want to go out. If it is true that he is going to hang up the gloves in mixed martial arts, he doesn't want to go out on a loss like how he did against Victor Henry. And Victor Henry basically clamoring for a title shot that'll only work if Japan opens up the international travel tones down international travel restrictions. But still, though, you look at Kanehara and his wealth of a career, and you look at Ashida and his career, even though he fights for Brave Gym, he's only had 2 fights under Rizin rules so far, one kickboxing and obviously one MMA, submitting Kyohei Hakiwara. I think we've seen that fight together, Andrew.
Yeah.
But still, I think that Ashida is going to have a tough time trying to finish off Kanehara because Kanehara, despite the loss to Henry, is a bit durable, wouldn't you say?
I don't know if Kanehara is durable anymore in this career. I just will read a comment in the chat. This is from Jamie GM. He said that I thought Kanehara actually had a decent showing against Henry last year before the KO. I think I remember. Yeah, he was out grappling Henry for a while, but he got caught. And just my instinct tells me that when a fighter retires, and then they have the year layoff, and now they're moving up a weight, and against somebody like Ashita. This is this was if it was Kanehara versus, I don't know, a fighter who was maybe 2-0, 1-0, maybe even like a Seguro knee, maybe I would maybe have a little bit more like, I could maybe see Kanehara win, but you're putting up him against Ishida. Like you said, Brave Gym guy. I don't know. Brave Gym's been on a roll lately with all the people they've been churning out, and Ishida's looked amazing. He looked amazing against in the Hagiwara fight. I don't think he's going to win this. I think he has 1% chance.
We also mentioned that like Kanehara fought Victor Henry in 2020. Then his last MMA fight before that's 2018.
Oh, so he likes to take long layoffs, apparently.
Then his last fight before that MMA was 2016.
Okay, so
since 2016, he's fought 3 times in MMA.
So he likes to do the long layoffs for some reason.
Well, he's been doing a lot of kickboxing and grappling, it looks like. But I mean, so that long of a layoff has to have some sort of effect, in my opinion.
And moving up in weight. That's the big factor, as well as moving up the weight. Especially against somebody like Ashita.
Yeah.
If Kanehara, here's my big bold prediction. I think that Kanehara is going to be like a Nakamura for potentially bantamweight or featherweight. I think that's what Rise is going to use him as at this going forward. If he doesn't retire.
Another moment that I hated was when they brought Lion Takeshi over to fight Mikuru Akai. I forget who he fought. It was one of the Asakura brothers.
It was Mikuru. And
it was just like, oh, why? Why are they bringing Lion out to do this?
You needed somebody to put over Mikuru. It worked.
And that's what they're doing. I think that's exactly what they're doing with Kanehara. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. There definitely seems to be some favoritism towards the Brave Gym when it comes to Rizin booking. I definitely think that they want to. They want to put over Miyata's guys.
Brave Gym's made some good moves recently. They have like a strategic alliance, Triforce, where they're cross training with each other. I think Retta is even training at Brave now for her wrestling. So I mean, Brave's moving up.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, I forgot that. Yeah, and they're moving up. They're becoming potentially right now the top gym in Japan.
Plus, Miyata's a stud. People love Miyata.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna move on to the next fight, the lightweight match, not featherweight match, as I said before. Daichi Abbey versus Akira, and that's Akira Okada when you look him up. Abbey is an interesting fighter. He's a welterweight fighter. For deep, or he's fought in welterweight, or is a deep welterweight champion. Am I correct, Charles?
I know he fought in deep. I don't know what champion he was though.
Because I have that he's a current deep welterweight champion, which I did not think he was. I guess
170. 170 welterweight.
By the way, he won the interim deep championship by defeating Goto Yamashita
through a finger injury. Yeah, how was that event?
Am I thinking like? Are we talking like an actual like? Is it like? What type of finger injury? I have to ask. What type of finger injury?
I want to say no. I think he like dislocated or broke his finger, and the ref came over and it was messed up, so they stopped the fight. I mean, it happened really early. It happened 2 minutes into the first round. It was like, oh, yes, it's over.
Also, just want to quickly read a comment from Jamie again. He says he agrees about them moving up in layoff for Kanehara, but featherweight is his most successful weight class. So keep that in mind. But yeah, Daichi Abbey and Akira.
Maybe the layoff will help him. Maybe it'll help him reset his chin and he won't get knocked out and he'll be fresh and ready to go.
Hey, when Jim Miller, when he got Lyme disease and had to take off like a year or two, and he just won his most recent fight in UFC. So hey, it can happen. Yeah. But Abe and Akira, are you familiar with Akira, Charles?
Ooh,
Akira Okada, by the way. Akira Okada.
Look, I just opened his record up and it's looking rough.
Well, here's the thing.
I saw his fight. I was at his fight last year. I saw him knock out Issei Tamura.
And I saw his fight against Koshi Matsumoto, which was a beautiful knockout as well.
Yeah.
That was from Pancreas of this year, from Pancreas 321. Is it fair to say that they're virtually identical, as Mike Goldberg would say?
both are just going to try to knock each other out.
Mm-hmm. That's what I feel like. I think this is look at
Yeah.
this. Look at this. One sub win for Akira, 0 for Daichi. Their finishes are all by KO. And
Um,
all decision wins as well. But
yeah, I feel like that there's this for me is just them trying to create a fun fight. They're hoping that one of these guys knocks each other out. Neither one of them are really big stars, so I think they're just trying to get a good knockout or kind of like a brawl going. Because I mean,
but
you got to think Rising's had to fill these cards with essentially only Japanese fighters for a year.
mhm.
I think some fights like this are going to happen.
It's
Sorry,
been a
Chris.
little over a year. It's been 18
Yeah.
months.
But who's counting, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Chris, what are your thoughts on this fight between Daichi Abbey and Akira Okada?
Well, I mean, Abe, obviously, much like Okada, Pancrase veteran, former King of Pancrase champion, by the way. He fought 3 times in the UFC, fought 2 times in that damn one championship.
Yeah, Abe had actually he had a great record. Then he just started losing a bunch of fights for some reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you can't deny the fact that, the 3-fight winning streak that he's been on over the last year plus, over the last 14 months, has made him soft. I mean, yeah, he did get a weird finish over Let's Go to Yamashita back in February, but a win's a win. And he knocked out Yuta Watanabe as well, but still, when you think about it, here are 2 men making their rising debuts. Okada, obviously a longtime star for Pancrase and obviously other promotion. Well, not other promotions, but that damn one championship. But still, you got 2 guys who were formerly loyal to Pancrase, one fighting out of Takanori Gomi's gym and Kugayama Rascal gym, Abe fighting out of, well, who knows. But still, these 2 men are going to make for one action-packed fight that Pancrase should have booked. And, I won't be surprised if we see a knockout on either end of the spectrum, especially considering the fact that Okada's last 2 fights have been via knockouts. But still, I wouldn't be surprised if this fight ends via knockout in the 2nd or 3rd round. However, I'm kind of a little undecided on this. You can call me neutral for this one, because I just don't know how this one's truly going to go.
I say Abe by toe injury.
Oh, God.
The other
He's like just doing bad juju on people every fight. He's like a voodoo doll in his corner.
Obscure when it comes down to this. Are you really saying that he's going to finish this fight via a toe injury? Come on.
He won the championship off a broken finger.
No, Lord. What's your prediction, CJ?
Such a rough one. But I'm going to have to go with Abe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their records are so similar. Like, they both lost a ton in a row and then just recently started patching some wins together. So it's hard to tell. You know what I mean? Their records look very similar.
Well, that's why I said they're virtually identical. They really are. I mean, yeah, on paper, I think that Abe is the better fighter, at least.
Right.
I don't know what that. I mean, here's the thing: his 2 losses were in UFC. Listen, we all know the Japanese curse in UFC, so I can kind of excuse those. But and then he fought Luis Santos and Ev Ting, and Ev Ting, is maybe the best lightweight, maybe in the world right now, or one of the best. I would say definitely top 5.
Yeah.
So that's another loss that is totally excusable.
Yeah.
Well, I should say excusable, but it's understandable. And then he had his return to Pancrase, and he had two knockout wins. And
deep.
Sorry, deep. Yeah. So
yeah.
And listen, I gotta give credit to a guy who broke another guy's finger and won that way. It's a unique way to win.
Yeah,
wasn't there a Japanese fighter in one of the early UFCs whose strategy was try to punch his opponent's hands as he was trying to punch him to break his fists?
Wasn't that
Yeah, absolutely massacred. Like, it was not a legitimate strategy to try to punch someone's fist.
Well, I felt like that was what Ring Nakai was trying to do point in her fights.
When she threw the most amazing up kick of all time. She was almost 3 feet away. He only missed by 3 feet.
But we're gonna move on to the next fight. Unfortunately, I don't
Well,
have a graphic for it. This is the fight that Charles,
actually,
you
we got 3 fights
yeah.
left over to talk about, and not a lot of time for you, Andrew. So you just want to go ahead and run through these rapid fire?
Yeah, so Charles, unfortunately, I don't have a graphic with me right now. But we have a fight that you are looking forward to. So Yoshi Sudario making his return after his first pro loss, taking on your guy, Saint, 2-0.
Yes.
Tell us about this fight, Charles, please.
Sudario asked to fight a real MMA fighter, and now he regrets that decision. He fought a guy in his last fight who he came out with Yuki Nakai, obviously a grappler, but I think both fighters injured themselves in the fight and looked compromised throughout most of it, which kind of led to a lackluster affair. I believe Sudario broke or severely injured his leg, throwing a low kick that got checked, and his opponent also had a heavily taped leg, looked like he could barely walk on. And so that fight was kind of interesting. I think it might have been a wake-up call for Sudario. And I believe he trained again in America for this fight.
Yep, he did.
It'll be interesting to see what gains he made. Saint is a giant man who hits really hard. Not as tall as Sudario, but very big and
you were
very
there
athletic. Former football player. So it's gonna be interesting.
You were there for when he knocked out Sakai, and I saw the video of that, and I thought Sakai, it was funny because as they're stretching him out, Saint is like giving his promo, like, his post-fight speech, and he's like looking down, like he's like kind of like turning towards like, because I think he's like distracted by all the commotion while he's trying to talk, but like they're still working on him as he's giving his promo, it was a horrible but funny image nonetheless.
Yeah.
At Sakai's expense.
I think this fight is, I hate to say it, but I think it's almost Sudario really needs to win this fight to keep his rising thing going.
Mm-hmm.
That a loss here severely derails his development.
I think so too. Was this the right fight to make for Sudario?
Well, I mean, I liked what they were doing. I liked the whole pro wrestling angle because, let's be real, sumo isn't applicable to MMA. And so the experience he had was he's very physically gifted, he's very athletic, and he seems to be training very hard. The problem is he's got to make up some ground for time that he didn't spend grappling or anything like that. I think Ensign's been doing a great job training him. On the other side of the spectrum, it's a good fight because this is Saint's 3rd fight. And let's just call this Sudario's like 2nd and a half real fight. So I think it's important for him to have these types of fights. And I mean, he said he wanted to fight real MMA fighters. So here we go.
Do you think
what you trying to say by 2nd and a half fight? Are you saying that half of Manoa Man showed up on New Year's Eve?
No, I'm saying you can take all the pro wrestlers he fought and mash them into half of an MMA fighter.
Do you think Sudario?
Great comment there.
You know how some fighters, after they lose, going undefeated, they just never come back. Do you think that could happen with Sudario?
No, I think Ensign's a good coach I think Ensign and him are a good match.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're going to take the approach that, it's how you separate the great ones, right? How do you respond to these losses? And I think they're going to be like, look, you had a bunch of wins, you got kind of cocky, you need to work even harder because there's guys out there that are better than you now. So I think that's the approach that they're going to take to it.
Mm-hmm. Chris, your thoughts on this fight?
All I gotta say is, and yeah, you did, Charlie, CJ did kind of say the 2.5 fighter thing, saying that wrestlers only make up half of an MMA fighter, which you're right. But it also seemed kind of derogatory because if it wasn't for pro wrestling, MMA probably wouldn't exist. Therefore,
that was more of a derisive comment towards the New Zealand guy who I believe was like charged with kidnapping or something.
Yeah, of course. The Dudley Boys reject Dylan James.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But still, point of the matter is when it comes down to this particular fight, This ain't gonna be no gimme fight for Tsuyoshi Sudario as much as Ensign Inoue wants to make it seem to believe, even though we talked to both Sudario and Ensign before. I myself talked to Ensign by himself before, and he's probably brought it up on his podcast a lot since then. But still, this ain't gonna be no gimme fight. This is gonna be Tsuyoshi Sudario trying to prove if he's actually an MMA fighter. And yeah, he did train out the US, out of Huntington Beach, California, so to speak, for this fight in particular, because he's going to be facing off against an American from New Jersey, part of your neck of the woods, Andrew. You live in the tri-state area after all. But still, you got this guy from New Jersey in Saint. We don't know much about him aside from the fact that he played American football and is a part of the American military. God bless our troops, tee. But still, get the troops out of other smaller countries first, then we'll thank them. But still, point of the matter is, when it comes down to this fight, there ain't gonna be no gimmies. Saint's gonna want to knock Sudario out. And if Sudario is not careful, he might get knocked out. Therefore, I think that this fight probably won't make it past the first round. If they're lucky, it won't make it to the judges' scorecards.
Yeah, I think if it goes past the first round, we're in for, it's that heavyweight curse. It might not be fun to watch, I feel like.
It might not be fun to watch in general. And I hate to say it against an Ensign Inoue fighter or Ensign Inoue himself, lest I know what's good for me. I don't want the Yakuza knocking down my door, flying halfway across the Pacific. But still, I think that Saint's gonna win this fight, and we'll finally know just who the hell he is.
So I mean, we're just a lot of these fighters in these Ryan's press conferences don't say anything interesting at all. Charles, you probably know that. Saint said the most interesting thing, and this is what he said. I'm a Marine serving at the Yokosuka base. I'm excited to showcase my skills in Rizin. My opponent is just a big sack of nothing, so I'm not worried. He's an easy opponent for me because I succeed. He's an easy opponent for me because I succeeded in several life-threatening missions, and I don't plan to fail this one. I like how he's approaching this like it's like a mission for the army.
He sounds like old school Crow Cop who was like, I've killed people. None of this scares me.
And listen, I think on paper, probably Sudario should win, but I have to admire Saint's confidence in calling Sudario a big sack of nothing. It's
the truth, though. The dude had to drip down from 300 something, maybe 400 something pounds just to fight at 265.
Oh, I get it. But the fact that he's just like, yeah, you're a big sack of nothing, and he's not worried at all, and that because he's been on several life-threatening missions, this has prepared him for this match. So it's an interesting comparison to MMA and Army or Marine secret missions or whatever he's doing. I'm gonna pick Saint on this one. I really have to pick Saint. My gut instinct. Yeah, I think the other people that Sudario just fought just aren't heavy strikers or are really known for striking that much. So
he hasn't fought anyone that's a striker.
Exactly. So they've all been pro wrestler or grappler, and it's that Sakai knockout was scary. And he fought Mizuguchi, and I think the only reason why he didn't finish Mizuguchi after he won that fight, he said that like his dog died or something that day.
Oh
wow. So I think maybe it happens. Maybe he wasn't in the right frame of mind. But if he's coming to his fights like this, Sudario has a lot to worry about. I really think so. Are you picking Saints as well, Charles?
Oh, 100%. I was kind of surprised when I saw pictures of Sudario training in the U.S. with like other heavyweights. I was surprised at like how small he looked. Like it almost looks like he could make light heavyweight.
I think he probably. Well, he's also very tall. What is he? 6'5", 6'6"? It's maybe.
I know, but who was he taking pictures with? Was he taking with Harris?
Yes,
Gerald Harris. I mean, he looked like a child next to him almost.
Also, Walt Harris is a big boned gentleman. A very.
But still, I'm just like, holy shit, you're not that tall, man. I thought you were tall.
He probably thought he was taking a picture with Yao Ming or something, or Sung Ming Ming.
You had no idea who this guy was. But I think hopefully it's a first round knockout either way. If it goes beyond that, then I think it's gonna be a long night, unfortunately. As per most heavyweights fight go. Charles, there's another Charles CJ
Yeah.
special. Kana Azakura taking on Saori Oshima, possibly one of the future atom weight stars in Japan, maybe the world. I want you to take this over, Charles. Tell us about this fight and why we should be excited for it.
Okay. Saori Oshima, she's appeared recently, less than 2 years under her belt. She's been competing in judo since she was 3 years old. So that's 23 years of judo experience. Her husband is also a high-level judo guy, and she trained with Kana Watanabe when she was in college, and Miki Motono. So very high-level judoka. Interestingly, mother of twins, and at
Mhm.
only 4'11", it looks like the babies are almost as tall as her now. So it's kind of funny to see her carry the kids around. But I think from a marketing angle, it's interesting because my wife and all of her friends, who are all women, don't like Panchan Rina because they think she's too cute. But I think they'll like Saori Oshima because Saori Oshima is a mother who's like doing this whole like work-life balance of I have to go train, but I also have to go take care of my kids and be a wife. So I think she'll be an interesting marketing angle. That aside, her last fight, she submitted Siwoo Park, who's a very high-level striker, who is one of the former training partners of Ham Sohee. So very impressive win. She's the deep microweight champion, which means she weighed in at 96 pounds. And she's also the Deep Jewels Atomweight tournament champion, which made her the Atomweight champion. And she defeated Hikaru Aono and Siwoo Park. So she's very high level judo. But that being said, I've always felt that one of the counters to judo is wrestling and the lack of a gi. And Kana Asakura is a high level wrestler. And even though I think Kana Asakura is she younger or the same age as Saudi?
uh,
Um,
She's
20.
younger,
No,
yeah.
she's 20. Yeah, she's younger.
She's younger. So I mean, Kana Asakura
Slightly
is
younger,
younger.
almost a year younger.
Yeah, and just has so much experience fighting on a big stage that's got to play a factor. She has so much rising experience and just MMA experience in general. But I like Kana Asakura, but I will say in the Ayaka Hamasaki fight, I think people overvalued Kana Asakura's performance. I think Ayaka Hamasaki wanted to knock her out in the first round and threw 98% of her gas tank towards knocking her out and completely gassed herself out. And when Kana Asakura was still there, she was able to take advantage of the fact that Ayaka Hamasaki is like 38 years old, exhausted, and took her down and beat her up on the ground, which I don't think would have happened if Ayaka grappled with her from the get-go.
I mean, come to think of it, let me reiterate on something. Actually, Saori Oshima is almost 3 years older than Kana Asakura, but I get what you're trying to say, Charlie, CJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for somebody who's a 4'11" mother of two, who, as Michael Schiavello used to say about women her height, she can milk a cow standing up.
I think also what
to Oshima though.
I think also what I'm not too much of a fan of this fight because
Let me finish.
Sorry.
Let me finish. Yeah. Even though it's going to be hard for Oshima to try and fight, differently, because this will be really her first fight at 108 pounds. She's going to have to eat an extra hamburger just to try and maintain herself at 108 pounds. But still, point of the matter is, even though she is the deep microweight and Jewels atomweight champion, it's going to be hard for her to try and, make sure that she keeps herself composed in front of the bright lights and the big stage of Rizin, especially facing off against a woman who Reina Kubota fans still hate after 3 years in Kana Asakura.
I also think that I don't know. I think that's a little bit early to have right now the top atom weight in Oshima taking on Khan at this point. I feel like they're almost feeding her to the wolves at this point. I don't think that Oshima has anything on Kana that Kana hasn't done with already.
So I think the thing is that they were desperate to try to find an opponent for Kana Asakura, and that they were reaching out to Deep and just telling Deep, like, give us somebody. And the rumors I've heard is that Rising wanted Seika Izawa for this fight, and that Seika Izawa wasn't interested in this fight because she thought it was too soon.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Yeah.
Seika Izawa is now fighting Sibu Park, and then maybe she'll go to Rising after that. But Saori Oshima, kind of like Kumagai, you'll see her like working at deep events and deep jewels events. So she's in the promotion's good graces, and the promotion likes her. So obviously they're like, well, if you need someone, we'll offer you Saori Oshima. And Saori Oshima, I mean, this is really win-win for her. It's kind of a short notice fight.
Mm-hmm.
If she loses, she's not even 2 years into her career yet. So I don't see any damage happening.
Mm.
And I think she's just jumping at the opportunity.
Oh, I think so too. It's just sad that, that it has to happen this early in Oshima's career.
Well, it's just sad that the Rising's division is so shallow.
Yeah.
That they really only have, they essentially have 2 champion level fighters with no one else.
I know. It's and if you want to count Reina and Reina is there as well, you could probably count her in there as well. It's really 3 people. Then
Miyu Yamamoto poses a bunch of problems herself because Miyu Yamamoto is well over 40 years old, but she's an athletic freak.
Yeah.
She's in better shape than I'll ever be. And her wrestling is so good that like it doesn't matter what else you can do. She's just going to take you down. And so she's like the weird person where it's like people shouldn't lose to her MMA skill wise, but they do.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick Kana on this. I think Kana's gonna dominate this fight and push it the way that she sees it. I don't think Oshima has anything to answer for Kana. That's
worst case scenario. It looks like the Kana Asakura Mizuki Furuse fight, where Mizuki Furuse, who's also a microweight, just got like absolutely dominated. But Saori Oshima is much mentally tougher than Mizuki Furuse and won't give up. She took hard shots from Sibu Park and still won that fight. And she's good off her back. So I wouldn't be surprised if she throws up some arm bars or something like that. But it just experience level alone, I got to agree with you. You got to side with Kana Asakura, who's been in the game, I think, since like 2016, 15. She's been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
I remember she was fighting Ballet to Japan.
14.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah. No. So this is a gimme. This is an easy fight for Kana to win. I really think. I don't know how Oshima can win it. That's what I'm trying. As I always try to like, how can the underdog win? There's really no. She has almost every disadvantage.
Yeah,
physical and experience, striking and grappling. It's like she's sorry, Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just I love judo, but without the gi, not a lot of fighters have been successful using judo to get people down in MMA.
Yeah,
like what you got Manny Gambarian, Caro, what is like Caro's cousin's nephew, what is his cousin's name, Caro Parisian or whatever, and Ronda Rousey. Those are like the only guys that have consistently been able to use judo to get people to the ground. But I like Saori Oshima, and if she wins, it'll be like a very quick submission off her back.
And well, it would be a shocking and like exciting win. It would make things interesting. It'll make things interesting, but I'm just unfortunately, I don't think I can't see it happening. Unfortunately, this is an easy win for Kana. And if we're going to talk about easy wins, I think we're going to talk about the main event. The main event.
Can we also talk about how Daisuke Nakamura knocked out the guy in the main event?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this, but we only got like a little bit of time to do that because Andrew, you got to get the hell out.
Yeah, it's going to be Yutaka Saito finally defending the featherweight championship against deep featherweight champion Jutaro Ushiku. Kabakoike is persona non grata.
How's he non grata?
He's MIA. He's whatever.
He was supposed to be in this fight, but he injured / couldn't make weight. Call me again on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah, bullshit, pal.
So,
I still at Kaliber Koike is waiting in the wings. But as far as this fight goes, no disrespect to Juntaro Ushiku, the current deep champion. I think that Saito's going to win this fight via quick submission finish.
What do you
either in
think?
the second or third, either in the first or second rounds.
What do you think,
What's that?
Charles? You've seen Ushiku fight a number of times. You see him get knocked out by Nakamura. You see him almost lose to Nakamura in their second match.
I mean,
Does
this to
Ushiku have
me,
anything?
I mean, I think it was Rising's thing was, well, if we can't have Saito fight Koike, we're just gonna build Saito up and have him smash somebody for that fight when it does happen. And I mean, does it get much more of a give me fight than this fight?
Absolutely not. Like this is did you know how like okay, here's so this is not an example, but I'm gonna use an example. The recent UFC show where they had Aspen Land take on Norma Dumont or where the fuck her name. Oh, actually, I take this back. This is a title fight. Remember when Joe Soto fought TJ Dillashaw on like a week's notice?
Mhm.
And got absolutely murdered.
Yeah. And listen, all credit to Joe Soto for taking that fight, but yeah, I think we're gonna see similar implications in this
I
fight.
still maintain that steroid TJ Dillashaw is one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, this was clearly like they didn't know they had nobody in mind for this main event, or I guess they could put in
No, they did. I mean, it was very clearly they wanted the thing with Japanese MMA. It's like so unorganized and so last minute. It's like very clear that they wanted Saito and Koike, and once
Oh,
that
yeah.
fell apart, they were like, "Oh shit, we got to find someone for Saito to fight
Uh,
that isn't already booked." And all of the events for the rest of the year have everyone else already involved.
What happens if Ushiko wins this fight, though? Charles, what happens if Ushiko becomes rising featherweight champion?
They have him fight Mikuru.
and uh, and then Ushiko gets murdered, basically.
Yes. We watched a snuff film.
Wait, there's no rematch between him and Nakamura
Oh, I would love that actually.
in a main event for Rizin.
No,
That's
they
that's
do a
new.
landmark show that sells 10 pay-per-views. That's only Nakamura versus Ushiku.
By the way, I don't buy it. I don't buy that they sold 80,000 for that Rizin landmark show. I don't buy that number at all.
Well, the servers all went down. It was quite popular.
Oh, okay.
It's
Maybe
quite popular amongst the domestic Japanese audience.
Yeah, I mean the server
See.
the website said it was the largest pay-per-view that ever sold.
is that a lot? I don't know. I don't know for
Oh.
you next. That the numbers that might not be a big hill.
I know, but I mean 80,000 isn't huge, but
I know
it's a
in
good
a country.
number.
Oh, we have a comment from Jamie again. He says feels this fight is a show to build up Saito for the Mikuru rematch, and yet that's probably right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They have Saito on the cover of the poster by himself. Giant question mark. It's just like, why the hell is Saito the poster? It was like the poster guy on vacation. This is totally them trying to build up the rematch. I agree with you 100%.
You think New Year's Eve rematch, Charles? Presumably that Saito doesn't get that much injured. I mean, the show there could be time. You could definitely do it.
Well, in Japanese MMA world, there's time.
Oh yeah,
where they tell you that you're fighting the day before the press conference.
Oh
yeah. I don't know if you put Mikuru and him on the New Year's Eve card unless you're trying to make that card absolutely huge. And you got to wonder if Mikuru wants to try another landmark card to see how he does.
Oh, I see. I get what you're saying. How does?
I was trying to think. I mean, it would be New Year's Eve. They're always trying to get huge ratings, and that'd be a big fight for it. But yeah, I mean, I could see it being on the New Year's Eve card.
Maybe just because it's a Mikuru, it's a New Year's Eve. Mikuru wants to be on New Year's Eve show, and they might beg him, so that
it could be like a good insurance policy in case Kai loses in the opening round.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. They could also have Shibatara on, and that'll guarantee ratings, so you don't have to entirely depend on Azakura. So yeah, don't forget to book that that Shibatara fight, Rizin.
This year he fights Taiga and Hiroya.
Yeah, at the same time. Hey, listen. If Tenshin Takaru don't work out, you need something. You need a big name. Shibatara. I'm sure we'll answer the call.
I will say that I'm very happy that Shibatara didn't like immediately come back.
Yeah,
I want it to be like a special treat that happens when he fights.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could say a lot about this fight. As a main event, I think this is also them trying to figure out, if Saito's a draw. You talked before. You said that this show isn't close to even selling out. right, Charles?
Well, I don't have any evidence of that, but based off my opinion, does this event sell out? No.
And is this gonna be on Fuji TV as well, live?
No, it's not going to be on Fuji TV. No.
Okay, that's also another thing as well, is that this is not gonna be on Fuji TV live. That's, you know,
This
I don't want.
has nobody that Fuji TV would be interested in having on their show. Fuji
This is
TV cares about Tenshin. They care about the Asakura brothers. They care about Rena. They care about Miyamoto. And they care about Horiguchi.
yeah, of course. Yeah, this unfortunate, this main event, I feel like the undercard is much more interesting than the main event. I'm much more interested in a ton of fights in the undercard.
It's interesting too because a smashing doesn't always have to be like not interesting.
Yeah.
Like the fight before this, Kana Asakura Saori Oshima is interesting because Saori Oshima is a rising prospect who is, you don't know how good she is. So that's interesting. Whereas this fight, it's like very clear how good Uchiko is and how good Saito is. So it's just like a predetermined result.
Also, the worst thing is that if, let's just say, Ushikuyu does somehow dominate Saito, and it's like it's kind of like the Vugar match.
It would almost be like the same as him just like openly shitting on the title in the middle of the ring and smearing it around. But his title means nothing.
Gross.
Him winning destroys the meaning of that championship.
I know. Imagine if the featherweight thing is cursed, the featherweight title's cursed, like it's a UFC what was
Eminem version.
It's like just like cursed out. Nobody can hold it. It switches back and forth to people. It never gets on Mikuru as well. Like it gets everybody but Mikuru for some reason.
Speaking of UFC curses, do you remember there's like a poster that had all the champions on it? And they were like in a random order, and they were losing in order that they were standing in the poster.
Oh, that's funny.
So many weird stuff like that. But
that's funny.
No, it's also kind of funny because Rizin, who loves to have their champions fight in non-championship fights, has to be so confident that Saito is going to win that they're like, yeah, we'll make this a title match.
Oh, yes. So I'm confident that Saito will win. I don't think Ushiku can win. If he does win, I'll say it'll be interesting. I'll be interested to see the discourse.
Is it like the movie Gladiator? Does like Sakakibara enter his locker room and cut his Achilles tendon before he goes out?
Or he does a Tanya Harding. Some masked man in a suit just hit Uchiku in the leg and broke his leg, but Uchiku's still gonna fight.
It looks like that time when Vince McMahon blew both his hamstrings. He's just like walking on his knees and sitting down in the ring. Dude, that gif always gets me, that gif of Vince McMahon running down there and blowing both his hammies.
But that's Rizin 31, everybody. Not the most exciting main event. We had some great undercard fights. I think
Saint and Sudario, I mean, that could be a lot of fun.
I think
it will be a lot of fun.
And I think the lightweight match between Abbey Akira should be fun as well. I think that should be a banger. And listen, we might get a knockout of Nadaka as well. But gentlemen, I have to head out. I'm gonna quickly do the plug, or I'm gonna send.
Well, actually, no. Let me go ahead and do the plugs. Andrew, we can follow you on Twitter at abenja1. CJ, we can follow you on Twitter at CJ_Sogo-Kaku, or we can go respectively to MMAsucker.com, where you, Andrew, will be doing the post-fight recap or during the show recap. CJ, you're at Sogo-Kaku.com, correct?
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
Mm-hmm. And you can follow me on Twitter at ChrisGary92. And, well, you can check out Focus Fights, because we follow all the top prospects. Well, actually, no. Instead of following all the top prospects in the world like we've been doing for the last 3 years, we've actually been, meaning I, have been actually doing a lot of this podcast and stuff just like you, Andrew, just like we've been doing over the last few years. But still, though, Focus Fights Audio is on Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Anchor.fm, which is where you should have gone to this, where you should have gone for this podcast beforehand, Andrew, before sticking on something else. But still, just like Focus Fights Audio, you can get the We Are Rising podcast on every platform that is available. Well, with the exception of a few. But still, you can follow this podcast on Twitter at We Are Rising Pod, WeareRizingPod, all in one word. And you can, of course, subscribe to this YouTube channel, which we hope you will have already done so, because you'll get all the best bits that we've done. You'll get all the best interviews that we've done, like the one we just posted of Marina Shafir just yesterday, with a special appearance by her husband. Well, you'll probably have to see it to believe it, but still, I would basically play the Lenny Hart soundbite. We'll have to work with what we got and, do it in post-production. But other than that, from all of us to all of you, we hope you will be able to check out Rising 31 on October 24th, this weekend, by the way, if you're listening to us right now, on live-now.com. And it'll be available for $25 or $24.99 from the Pia Arena MM in Yokohama, Kanagawa, Japan. You'll get 11 action-packed fights and plenty of exciting commentary from Damian Brown and Joe Ferraro. But other than that, all we gotta say in lieu of me not playing the Lenny Hart soundbite is take care of yourself. Peace, my peoples, in one love world. Protect yourself at all times. And like I say on Focus Fights Audio, no matter what type of problems you're going through, no matter what type of issues you're going through in life, keep fighting. Because somebody is out there trying to fight battles the same way you're going through. And you might just build up their story. Other than that, instead of saying, we are, I can't.